You can go to blindmike.net to find that out. So go do that.
I don't think it's the same number he's gonna tell us.
He's like, it's actually 5 people. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right, actually.
That's genius. He must remember the womb.
All right, let's move on here. Let's do Stuttering John real quick. This should be a quick one. But Stuttering John, just a couple things caught my eye for you guys to keep an eye on. I don't know what the show schedule is going to be like next week. We might be recording even earlier in the week.
Ooh.
So stay tuned for that. I'm not sure what's happening. But I just wanted you guys to keep an eye on something. So Karl is doing Karl and Patrick Melton and Tukey and another gentleman I won't name for the segment we're doing later. But a bunch of people are going to this Hackamania in Vegas. Tickets now available, I suppose. And they might have a special guest there, I'm hearing. So I wanted to talk about John a little bit because he intimated some things that I found very interesting this week.
That's the big news. I'm going to go to my son's graduation.
Imagine that being big news in your life.
I'm going to be taken off.
That should just be a given, John.
My son has allowed me to see him for the day. Big news, everybody. There's one day I won't be. I mean, massive news. I've decided to pay child support.
My wife said I could talk to him on the phone once every third.
Oh, did you hear? So there's a story that came out recently because someone found like an old podcast of John's or something, and these are John's words. It's kind of like we were talking about with Aaron earlier, where this is from John's perspective. So imagine how crazy that is. John was telling this story about his kid coming over to visit him, and the kid had to sleep on the couch in his apartment. And I guess they were like the couch was such a mess. There was like cat hair on it and stuff that the kid didn't feel comfortable like sleeping. He's like, "Can I get like a sheet or something?" Like he complained about it. Which, based on the state of John's apartment on a regular basis, that seems like a pretty valid complaint. I'm not going to fault the kid for that.
Yep.
So the kid was like, "I'm not going to sleep here." And John was like, "Oh, quit being a baby," or whatever. And so the kid complained enough that John was like, "I'm bringing you back to your mother's." And then John, the way John tells the story is that the kid got out of the car and was like, "All right, Dad, I love you." And John was like, "Just get out of here." To his own son.
Terrible.
Yeah, so that I guess it is big news that he's going to that he got invited to the graduation. I suppose that is big news.
Big news, I made the cut.
That's right. I gave notice. I'm going to be driving across the country with my pretty much brand new television, throwing out the bed.
Hold on. What a brag. My pretty much brand new television.
Why is he not flying?
I guess he's moving his stuff. Well, Craig, as we're going to find out, there's a few stops he wants to make. But I guess he's moving his stuff. So he has to drive, which is, I don't know, does Stuttering John have so few items that he can drive them across country by himself?
If he gets a U-Haul, maybe?
I guess. I don't know what his plan is. But listen, this is a man with an almost new television, so who am I to question him?
It's pretty good.
Throwing out the couch, throwing out this wonderful table that I'm on, this coffee table, throwing out almost everything.
Imagine, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting it, but imagine needing to tell us, like having such little to talk about. You're just listing things in your apartment.
Yeah, I know I started this stream. I'm sorry, guys. The lighting kind of sucks.
Like if I just came in with nothing, I didn't have the steel toe stuff, the Rogan stuff, Stuttering John, any of it. If I was just like, well, guys, I got a fan here. There's a walking pad over there. There's a bunch of shit we could probably throw out over in the corner, but that's taking up space. Behind me, I mean, you see what I've got behind me, but I'll list it. There's some photos. There are books on the shelf there.
Quincy.
Who gives a fuck, John?
Packing a Mercedes, driving across country.
Brag.
So the shows we...
He didn't say the year of it. It was a brand new television, but it is a Mercedes.
I've been told it's like a 2012 or something like that.
Okay.
broadcast
Pretty sweet.
from hotel rooms everywhere. So keep those super chats coming. I need to pay for a lot of gas. I got to get a canvas kitty carrier. And I got to...
Wouldn't it be way cheaper to fly and
Yes.
move all this stuff out there? Like pay a moving company or something?
You can get a 75-inch TV for like $350 now.
Well, that too. You could just buy new shit. Like he's had it, so I guess he's moving it all to his home in Florida. I think if you're gonna buy a second home, you should be able to furnish it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't need to take all your stuff, move it back and forth.
To be fair, he says throwing the couch and shit out.
Well, that's big, and that way, and you know what? It's important that we know that.
That's true.
I always think I worry as a broadcaster. Like I've never told you guys about my couch, and I feel like you guys think I'm kind of a phony because of that.
I didn't want to say it.
It's from Jordan's Furniture. I'll just let you in on that. I know. Listen, I know. I don't like to, but I never mentioned it because I don't like to brag.
That's a pretty big brag. They're not cheap there.
I know. You're telling me, pal.
There's some business there.
Oh, go back. I'm sorry. Go back a little bit. First of all, I love Smug John, but I want to hear this again.
And I got to first stop Las Vegas. I got to take care of some business there.
What is that voice he's doing?
But I look forward to seeing my son graduate valedictorian.
This kid's going to Harvard, I think.
Sister.
Really?
Yeah.
Although Lady K will call my kids losers, right? That guy is wrong.
I forgot. The original reason I pulled this clip was we just did Into the Dabbleverse, Stuttering John, and Why Are You Laughing? And we played the clip of Karl calling John's kids losers. And as Craig pointed out, it's pretty clear he's joking.
Yes.
But also the important thing to remember is that was 3, maybe 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. More than that, I think.
I think that was 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
The rest of it is more than that. But yeah, let's call it 3 years ago, just to be on John's side here. Again, this is where I'm like, I tried to do that episode unbiased, and I think I did. That's the crazy thing about John. But like, he's still. Oh, Lady K called my kids losers.
They are.
It's like, John, if they got into Craig, how dare you? Don't slip that by me. I don't want that blood on my hands.
I'm joking.
John, your kid got into Harvard. Let's take John at face value here. Your kid got into Harvard. He's a valedictorian. And let's pretend for a moment Karl thinks your kids are losers. Who gives a fuck? You know, like, who cares? What does that do to anyone? What you can do is, like, if the name Karl Hamburger ever comes up, you can be like, oh, I know that guy. He's a loser. He was an asshole to my kids.
Done.
And then move on with your day. You know?
Yeah.
You don't have to be so obsessed. Like, he's still thinking about that at every turn. And now anything his kids do, like, ho, Lady K is going to pay for eat his words.
Although Lady K will call my kids losers, right? That guy is wrong.
I liked where it cut off there. That guy is wrong. Yeah, probably a lot. Most humans are.
That's right.
Just fucking move on, John. It's fine. So he suggests he's going to see his friends in Vegas there. So we'll get back to that in a second. But another thing I wanted to point out, again, the similarity with the kid stuff. He's ready to rumble at the drop of a hat.
Right.
If Shuli wants to fight him, he's ready to go.
Let's see. Shitway, you do realize that George Foreman came back into the ring and fought when he was 5.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second.
Is he comparing himself to George Foreman?
I forgot how this started. So John's been challenging Shuli to a fight. And I guess at one point Shuli was like, bring it on, I'll do it. And then I think when it came up again, Shuli was like, I'm an old man, I'm a father. No, I'm not going to fight John. But he said, like, I'm an old man, basically. I'm not going to fight John. I'm not going to box John. And this is John's retort here. Or I'm sorry, Shuli called John old, is what I should say. He's an old man. And this is John's.
George Foreman came back into the ring and fought when he was 45, Shuli. So you're approaching 50, but you're too fraidy. You're too afraid to fight me.
I was right.
This guy on the last show.
So oddly, he's actually comparing Shuli to George Foreman.
He won that fight.
It's even crazier. In my mind, I was like, oh, he compared himself to George Foreman. This is great. So he's saying, Shuli, you and heavyweight champion George Foreman should with ease be able to fight well into your 40s.
Oh, like, come on, let's do it. What happa? Wahapa? Skol. Fucking guy.
So John, since he's been back for almost a year now, he's been saying, I want to box
Someday.
Shuli, Levy, Mike Moores, all these people he wants to box. Lady K. Now, I would suggest, if it did come to that, if they set up a boxing match and it actually went through, here's what would happen. I don't know who would win. There would be a boxing match, not very skilled. There would be a pretty sloppy boxing match. Whoever won, well, some people would, no matter what, be like, Shuli's a fucking loser. Some people, no matter what, would be like, John's a fucking loser.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever won, let's live in a world where John wins. That's the most fun.
Yep. Yes,
John wins the fight. He beats Shuli. And then what happens is the same as every other day since John has started this Dabbleverse. Is John does his show and takes a victory lap and says, finally, I beat the shitweigher. Do you all see now that I beat Shuli in a fight? And then the next super chat he will read is, hey, you're a drunk and a deadbeat dad and a liar and a loser. And then he argues with that person and says, oh, you want to go now? I beat Cabby. I beat Shuli. It's crazy. Like, it won't. I don't know what John thinks it's going to solve, and it is hilarious. As much as I've wanted to stop talking about this motherfucker, I just accept I never will, because it is consistently hilarious to watch him behave like this.
But we have one last clip of John talking about Vegas some more.
Yeah, so this is he elaborates a little further on Vegas. He kind of insinuated the day before, he's like, I'll be making a stop to Vegas. See a few of my pals. Like, it felt like John's always like he lives in a mafia movie where he thinks he's like intimidating, where, you know, Karl and Patrick Melton are gonna be like, oh no, not 5'5" John. I hope he doesn't stop by the public place we're doing a show at. Which
would enhance our show and kind of almost make him fall into our trap.
It would be if John, you know, they're streaming it too.
If he showed up, it would be a huge pop.
They're streaming it. So if John showed up, that would get on Twitter and all over the place. The amount of people that would buy their fucking stream just to see what happened.
Yeah.
So John is gonna show up in Vegas. Let's hear about it.
I know where my first stop's gonna be. Oh, don't worry. My first stop's gonna be at somebody that had a picture of my kid on his show for a bunch of days, and I'm gonna be there.
It might have a hunch in this area.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there. Then I'm gonna mosey on down to to see my good buddy Lady K and Rocco Burrow.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of fun over there, Quad. You know, it's gonna be fun seeing all these fucking tough guys behind their little computer boards. When I show up, let's see how tough they are.
Computer boards.
What do you think?
Computer boards.
So, you know what's funny is we talked about this with Brendan Schaub a few weeks ago. And we were like, you know what? Brendan Schaub is a comedian, supposedly. He should be able to take a joke. But when he turns and he says, well, then fucking fight me. Let's do this. Brendan can kill with his bare hands essentially any human being on the planet, statistically. Statistically. Like, there are some that would beat Brendan in a fight, of course. But your average Joe walking down the street, Brendan could dismember them with his hands.
Yes.
So he has something to back that up with.
Mm-hmm.
John, I don't know that he possesses that same set of skills.
John strikes me.
I dare to say John has the physicality of a 60-year-old drunk.
He also strikes me as the guy you could beat with like a face smush.
Well, he's 5'5" and out of shape and 60.
Right.
Like, he's not an intimidating figure. There's no one like if Brendan, listen, if we did a live show and somehow Brendan Schaub heard about it and he was like, looks like I'm going to be paying a little visit to Boston this weekend.
The show would have to get canceled immediately.
I'd be states away. You'd never see me again. If I was doing a live show and John said, looks like old Johnny's going to take Boston, I would be fully erect. You picked me, John, to come see. Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
Of all the people that have made fun of you, little old me. I appreciate it dearly. You're not an intimidating guy, John. Why do you do this time and time again? I forget who it was.
He's from New York. That's why.
I think it was on Point Dabble Point a couple weeks ago. Maybe when I was on, that someone said, we should send a rake to John's house just to see if he steps on it. Because at every turn, this fucking guy.
Definitely would.
By the way, speaking of the Dabbleverse, I don't know if this GoFundMe is still open, but shout out to producer Chris. I hope his daughter's all right. And if you're not aware of it already, producerchris.com is a GoFundMe for producer Chris. His daughter has breast cancer and she's young, so people have been donating. And John started making fun of Chris before this, and then they talked about it on WATP, so everyone was like, oh, John, you're a fucking idiot. And John, on his show, was like, oh, you think I'm a scumbag? Watch what I donate. And then he takes 45 minutes to type in the website, and he gave $50. He was like, what a big man I am.
What's the website again?
Producerchris.com, I believe, is how they set up to get there. It's just a GoFundMe, but
I'm just putting it in the
yeah, make sure it's still up, because I know I think they hit their goal, but make sure it's still up.
Right.
But yeah, so shout out to producer Chris. But yeah, that's very fun. I hope John does stop by Vegas next weekend. That would be very exciting.
Oh, they sailed past the goal.
Yeah, is it still open though?
It's still open.
Yeah, so if that interests you, check it out. But yeah, we'll have a very easy show next week if John stops by Vegas.
Yeah. Let's break down the game tape.